Oh my god, it's recording.
It's recording. Okay. Aileen.
Hi, Brock.
Hey.
It's been a while. Long
It's-
time no
it's
see.
been a while. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty alright too.
Yeah?
I'm happy to be here and to promote the movie and to talk.
Yeah, it's so
Over-
exciting. It's our
Yeah.
first press junket.
It is. I was just telling you before this started that I realized 5 seconds before that I don't think I'm built for this. But I'm excited to sit here and talk with you about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Well, I do have a question for you.
Okay, great.
What was your process like playing Carter? Like, what was like when you first read the script to end?
Yeah. When I first read the script, I think I wanted to I kind of wanted to chart his life right up to meeting Carolina and kind of how that informs him and his love life. Obviously, being a romance movie, I made that a pretty big part of his character.
Right. Yeah.
His love life. So
You were also very specific. With
yeah, this is like, thinking back on it now, I kind of surprised myself with how deep I got. Like I did journal entries, which was that's a fun thing that like I sometimes usually do for characters like that. But I charted out this entire like, I did a lot of like imagination work because I charted out this entire like romantic history of like all his girlfriends,
The
all
roster.
His, like, I mean, I know it's like crazy, but I did it because I thought that it would. What I got from the script was that Carter was this really, I guess, bigger than just being like Carolina's boyfriend. He's this such a great person, and it seems like when you read the script, there's a lot of history behind him and why he treats Carolina. Not just because he's a kind person, but I think he learned that from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So charting out all the relationship stuff and like the lessons he learned from it and what pitfalls maybe were there. How did that inform how he went about meeting this new girl? So that was really fun. It actually helped a lot. Like it was like, I kept all that and then we went to set and then it was just like, oh my God, I have to like protect this person because of all these things that have happened in his past life and the way he wants to go forward. But yeah, a lot of that, a lot of music.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
He's just a nice little sweet guy.
He is. There's so much more to him than like is in the script right now.
Right. Yeah.
Like I would love to go back and like write a feature and write so much more for him because I have so many questions. Like I wonder what his family life is like.
Yeah, I tried to plot that out a little too. Obviously, that's none of that is given in the script. So that was all stuff I kind of like fabricated on like what's my version of what I think his family is or looks like. But yeah, that would have been really fun to explore and see like because that was the whole thing too, which is why I wanted to do that. He's not just like in the script and it's some guy apparently and that's it. Like he is a real person.
Yeah.
In real life before the movie starts and after it ends.
Right. And he's so important to Carolina and her story. So
yeah.
I don't think he's just a guy.
Right. Yeah. He is just as important as she is.
Yeah.
And is unique and complex.
Right.
And I was glad I was able to kind of find that in all the work I did before and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I thought it was like really interesting because even before we got to set, we like talked a lot about like the script and all that kind of stuff. And it's like we were on the same page for a lot of things.
I know, isn't that? Yeah. Isn't
which I
that
thought
weird?
was crazy because it's like,
Yeah.
how would you know? How did you get in here?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it was cool because, like I said, I went at it in a way where like it's these two people who have lived a life and things have happened to them in the past that kind of make them who they are now. But then meeting, it's like I don't know, it's like this. I don't know, this kind of like beautiful spark thing that happens between
Yeah.
both of them. And yeah, we were just right, like almost like a list of like bullet points of like, wow, this was the same thing, this was the same thing. Yeah, I don't know, coincidence, I guess, I'm not sure.
I think it was, what's that word? Serendipitous? Is that the
Yeah,
word? Yeah.
I think that's it.
Like a happy
Yeah.
accident.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also not an accident because I wrote it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I was very intentional with the way I wrote it. But
Yeah. So, which is funny because I would segue and ask you, did you find it hard to come up with character work once you were kind of getting closer to filming? Because you'd already written it, so you already knew kind of who Carolina already was. Did you rediscover anything, or did you find anything that was like, oh, that wasn't there?
Yeah.
when I read
Well, I found myself like needing to separate myself from her a lot. So I actually had to do a lot more work for Aileen than I did Carolina.
Right.
So like I started keeping a journal, and I call it my Aileen journal now. And it's like all of the things that I like, all of the things that I don't like, things that I did. So it's just like, so that's there, that's me.
Yeah.
And then I had another journal for Carolina, and I'm like, that's her and how she feels. And like, of course we share a lot. And I think all of these characters to a certain extent are an extension of me, but Carolina is the most like me. But I think that in playing her and all that, I find that Carolina is a version of me that no longer exists. So I think Carolina helped me realize that I'm not going to cry. That I've grown a lot more than I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it's okay. I think it's the beautiful thing about playing somebody like Cook, because even with Carter, I think he's such a positive character. Like I feel like I usually get drawn to playing these characters in such like high pressure and high tension situations, and he's just such a lovely person. So I got to kind of bring my authenticity of like my kindness for people, my love for people, and kind of use Carter as a vessel for that, which was great. But there is also a point where it's like, yeah, you find things, which I think was why the character work was important for me in the relationship stuff, because I think if I fabricated something, I was like, okay, this is a fictitious version of this history of his love life. I'm not using any of mine.
Right, yeah.
So it's like I pull from his history and not something from my own thing.
Right, absolutely.
Which might muddy stuff up, and
Yeah.
it might change the way I wanted to go about playing.
Yeah. It was same for me too. Like, I had Carolina, she had no experience at all, and that's not necessarily true for me. But yeah, I agree. It was like, as you say, fabricating a lot of things that like are so separate from me.
Yeah.
And Carolina has a ton of things that are different from mine. Even just like her own family history is completely different than mine. But yeah, there was a lot of that separation.
Yeah, but it's cool because it gets to the point where like, especially during the process where you feel comfortable knowing like this is where the character is and this is where I am.
Right.
And it's perfectly okay, and like you know it, and it's like it's super clear, which just makes it easier to kind of tap in and tap out of that.
Yeah.
Switching back and forth.
Right.
Which is cool.
I kind of have a question that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about.
That's okay. They segue everywhere, I think. So,
what was your favorite day on set?
It might have been the last day that I filmed. We were going around like to a lot of like locations and all the outside stuff. I liked a lot of those shots when they came back, and I just enjoyed it. I always enjoyed going out and being on location and being. I like when the crew takes me to fun places.
So what I'm hearing is you like being a passenger.
Right.
on
Yeah.
set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But no, I thought it was really nice, and I think that was the day where we kind of got to do a lot of B-roll stuff with Carter and Carolina, just spending time with each other, and I thought that was kind of the peak of like where his character was at. At that point, his objective had been like complete. This is exactly what he wanted. He's like, like I'm here with this girl, and she's great, and we're having a good time. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. So that day, and probably the first day. The first day was a lot of fun. I think I was particularly nervous because I was like, oh, now I gotta see if all that character work was like, was worth it.
Yeah.
Was that gonna show up? And I thought it was so beautifully like awkward and funny and witty. And I think it was a day that kind of reassured to me that, okay, yeah, I'm meant to be here. Because we kind of started the scene and it kind of just went back and forth. And I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is exactly how I was hoping it was going to go.
Yeah.
So I think that's my answer. So those 2 days.
Yeah.
But what about you?
I think for me it was the first day, even though I was super nervous, because like we had worked with each other before,
Sure.
and I was like, oh, we're gonna be fine. But like I didn't know if that kind of chemistry was there, and I was like, it kind of needs to be there.
Yeah.
And I was afraid that it wasn't going to be, but then we did it, and it was awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I was trying so hard to lock in and be like, okay, like there's a lot riding on this. Like, the first scene, it's like,
yeah.
And then that's the cool thing with Carter too. Like every scene with him, Because in a way, he is kind of a part of the vehicle of the movie. I was like, every scene with him is extremely important to her character. So I was like, oh god, like this is the big deal.
Yeah.
But then we came in, and then the energy was just
It was there.
great, like from the first take.
Yeah. Well, because I was nervous because I was like, well, if it's not there, you have no movie, pretty much.
Yeah, right, yeah, because like I
Yeah.
said, I think I realized that first day, like, wow, the connection between these two people is so pivotal to, like, the movie as a whole, and also Carolina's growth as a person, and I was like, ooh, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
But then it worked out great, and then all my worries kind of like immediately went away. But that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think those 2 days for me were like, yeah.
Yeah. The third day was fun. It was a beautiful day that day. So.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, we didn't have a bad weather day at all.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Well, on the first day it rained a little bit.
Oh, true. It did.
Yeah.
A little. Yeah.
But it's okay. It was an interior
Right.
day, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have another question.
Okay.
So we worked with an intimacy coordinator for this
Yeah.
production. What was that like for you?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm I'm trying to find the words. I think it was cool to me because it felt like such a professional thing. It was my first time working with an intimacy director on film. And from the beginning, I was like, wow, this is a really step-by-step thing that's taken very seriously and with care and with effort on both sides. And I thought that was really, really cool. I thought it was great. I thought Olivia was so kind and so helpful, and it's so funny. Like it's like the stage of doing all the exercises,
Yeah.
and all those things. But then they really do work because
They do.
You're there on the day, and then it's like
It was
you're good.
yeah.
You've done it already. Like you're there. She's got you. And
Yeah.
It's fine. So yeah, I think it was something that was. I'm so glad we had it. I think especially this movie, I think it was super important to have
for sure.
somebody coordinate a lot of those moments because they are so important. And I thought it was just wonderful.
Yeah.
But what about you?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I felt so safe and taken care of throughout because that was what I was most nervous about.
Yeah.
I've never done a stage kiss or anything like that before.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I haven't kissed many people in my life, but that's okay. But so I was like, well, I don't want it. And I knew I needed someone to keep an eye on that specifically because it is so important to the story.
Yeah.
So it was so helpful to just have her there and have a point person for that specifically. Oh, this looks off or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, in school we've had intimacy and consent practices and stuff like that. But I feel it was nice to have someone there to remind you that that's a thing. And we never once said the word red.
No, never. It's all the little ticks and hesitant moments of all that stuff that reads so well and they, inform the characters in the story, and it's really cool to see happen. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm most excited about people seeing, all the little stuff that goes into their character, especially with Carter and Carolina, when she finally feels comfortable to hold his hand, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna hold your hand, and then I'm gonna, I don't want to spoil it, but it's just I love that moment so much because writing it, I saw it in my head, and then seeing it and actually doing it was such a surreal moment. I was like, oh my god, I made this thing.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and good for you.
Yeah.
To be a part of something that you wrote and get to see come to life. That's such a unique thing that a lot of people either they're actor, screenwriter, or actor, director. That it's such a unique experience of seeing something you kind of made from nothing turn into art, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I got to do it with my good friend.
Right. Yeah. and that's the thing too. It feels like it didn't feel like work when we were on set because we were surrounded by our friends and coworkers who we the set. Everybody on set was so kind.
Yeah.
Every day and so loving. It was great because you felt again that idea of being comfortable and feeling safe and feeling taken care of. There was never a single day where I didn't feel like someone wasn't there for me or anything.
That's
and
awesome.
You want to feel like that all the
Yeah.
time, whether it could be from romance or whatever. But yeah, it's just great.
Yeah, but that's awesome that you felt that way because, and it feels, what's the word? I don't know where I was going with that, but as a producer, that's what I wanted. That's
Right.
exactly what I
Yeah,
wanted, and
because you also weighed that. Oh my
Yeah.
god, the idea. Right. So writing and then producing it.
yeah,
Did you find that tough?
it was hard because it felt like I didn't know where to put my focus at times, and I feel like sometimes that affected my performance. I feel like especially like on your third day, I wasn't there at all.
Yeah, because there kind of comes a point where like you're juggling so many things, and you kind of you're getting ready to roll, so you got to be actor today. And
Right.
then the crew's showing up, and now you can be producer for 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
then switch back and forth. So I can see where that could kind of
Yeah,
complicate.
it was tricky, but I think I did the best that I could at the time. But something that I really did care about was creating a safe environment, and like I wrote in every single email, if there's anything that I can do to support you, let me know, and I meant that.
Right.
So to hear that like it actually was a safe environment is very affirming.
Yes.
That's the word.
Yeah, there you go.
Affirming is the word.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm trying to think of- Oh, I wasn't around for these shoot days, but filming with Genesis.
Oh, it was
You know, we'll talk about
awesome.
that. Yeah,
So,
I everything I've seen of them is lovely.
Yeah. Just the energy was so good. Just I don't know what it is about Dominican women, but we just have this magic. It's awesome.
Mhm.
It's so good. But it was just I think it was like it was the same level of care and just but I feel like times 10.
Yeah.
Because I think like this story meant a lot to us, and
Yeah.
for the three of us, it was really one of the very few times that we'll get to play Dominican women on screen. So that was really important to us. So I think like that was present, and that was such a beautiful thing. And I love and care about Yaneva and Genesis so much. Genesis is my best friend from like high school, and we did acting together, and we went to college for acting together. Like we auditioned together. It was a whole thing. But she ended up going to another school. And then Yaneva, I love, I love her so much.
Yeah.
She's
Moving
just,
on.
she's just one of those people that's so easy to love. You just can't help it.
Yeah.
And she also like looks out for me, cares about me, and it's so wonderful to like graduate and know that there's someone out there who cares for you in that way. It's awesome. She actually got me another job.
Yeah, well, yes, actually,
Yeah.
that's another segue. We can talk about other projects that aren't, the
Yeah.
How was Like Mother, Like Daughter?
Yes,
Is the name
yeah,
of it, right?
yeah.
How was that process for you?
It was completely different than Niña Linda. The characters were just completely different. I played a younger version of Reina, which is Yaneva's character.
Okay.
And it was a fight scene with her cheating boyfriend.
Yeah.
I had to
Way different.
different, like cursing this man out. There was no sweetness. Well, there was the next day, but it was a really interesting experience because it was very vulnerable in a different way. But again, the fact that I got to play a Dominican woman is awesome, and not just like
that's so cool.
not just like a racially, ethnically ambiguous person, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
And the director was also Dominican, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And like I love, feels like there's a place for me out there,
Exactly.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really fun. Yeah, I did a lot of. I had these extensions, and my hair was so long.
Yeah, I saw. It looked very cool. Like, I saw some stills, and I was like, wow, their hair makeup team like did a great job.
It was so heavy, and then there was a shower scene.
Mm.
They're like, we're gonna wet this hair, and I was like, it already weighs like 5 pounds.
Yeah.
When it's wet, it's gonna be crazy. So I get in the shower, and it's like I'm supposed to be naked, but I wasn't really. And I'm there, and I'm crouching down, and the shower is just, doing its thing, and this hair is just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I said to the
Yeah,
producer, I'm
yeah,
like,
that sounds
somebody's
good.
gonna have to help me out of here, and they did, and they were lovely, and
Yeah.
I was crying in the shower. It was so dramatic, and
Yeah.
then I cut the extensions. It was
Oh, wow.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
That sounds
awesome.
cool. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That was New York, right?
Yeah, in the Bronx,
Wow,
yeah.
Very cool.
I was out there for 2 days.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are you up to?
So I'm always up to stuff.
Yeah. You're just so booked and blessed.
So booked and blessed. I know, God, it's like
You
crazy.
barely have time for me.
Right, I know. Like, I'm just, like around everywhere. I am currently in between filming for a Western, Big Trouble at High Noon,
Yes.
with my boy Tavon Cross. I love him, man.
And what's your character name?
So my character's name is Luke Carter, which is
Mhm.
crazy. That the coincidence of like that was the next film I did, and I had no involvement with the script writing or anything, and I got it, and I went, I can't escape this guy.
It's gonna haunt you.
This is terrible. But yeah, Luke is my character's name. He's like a bounty hunter. Yeah, he's more of a bounty hunter, because the antagonists of the movie are like these bandit kind of cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing that with Kelly.
Yes, Kelly,
Which is
who is also in this film too.
Yes, I heard.
Yes.
Also, yeah, I guess I'm gonna see how her involvement.
You'll
is there.
see.
But that's really cool. I did see that the other day. But yeah, we're in between filming for that because weather stuff.
Right.
But it's been great. It's been so cool. Which is funny because I've been making films with Stefan since we were 15. Like when I'm on set with him, it's not like work. It's like making short films on a film. But it's been really, really cool. I've done so much stuff with him, and something I really admire about him is his boldness to do stuff that like other student directors don't even like try.
Yeah.
He tries westerns, he tries sci-fi, he tries action. He's a big action guy, and I enjoy action. I've done a lot of that with him. There's a lot of that in this western film, but it's really cool. It's really cool. I've wanted to do a western since like I was a kid. Like that's always a cool thing. You play cowboys or whatever. And it's been super fun. It's been like, as far as Stefan's productions go, like one of the biggest that he's had. So that's been great. Emma's working on that.
Yes.
So it's amazing because it feels like, it's like when that inner circle is so like, just perfect and filled with all your like best friends where it's like a perfect collaboration of like my two favorite creatives.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which has been great.
Yeah.
Every day shooting that has been so fun. It looks great. And it's just been really fun. It's really cool. I can't wait to get back to it soon.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's been what's keeping me busy.
You were also in Rent,
I was in Rent.
and you
true.
ate,
Thank
and didn't pay the rent.
Thank you. We didn't pay that rent.
Not this year's rent,
No,
next
no,
year's
or
rent.
next year's or any of that.
Or any of it.
Yeah, that was also crazy. Doing Rent and Big Trouble at High Noon back to back.
Oh, at the
by
same
way.
time?
So I would all week would have Rent rehearsal, and then Sunday wake up 8, get to Stefan's studio by 8:30 to go to location by 9.
Oh my
And,
god.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
So juggling those two characters, because they're extremely different. Luke is this very like stoic, Clint Eastwood kind of masculine, cool guy, kind of character. And then to play Collins in Rent is just
Completely different.
Completely different. I had so much fun with that musical. It's so crazy that like it even happened. Like I watched Rent when I was a sophomore in high school, and I was always like, oh, that'd be really cool to be a part of. And then Ryder was doing it. I was like, okay, let's see. And they got cast as Collins, which is just, yeah, it was such a beautiful experience. And I feel like there's always a kind of like, ooh, is this production is this gonna work or not when you kind of start it. And from day one, like the cast was just incredible, and the creatives were just so encouraging. And I just realized like that, I was like, wow, this is like the most fun I've had with a musical ever. It was just such a great experience, and working with, oh my gosh, like Cole and Will and Bradley and everybody, which is wonderful.
It was a
Yeah.
stacked cast.
It was stacked. It really, really was. Like I was so impressed by how well it was casted. Because I think for me, it took me a minute to kind of get comfortable feeling as though I belonged, because I was the only acting major there, and I'm playing this character who isn't my sexual orientation, and this role is known to have an amazing singer, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if that fit that criteria exactly. But I worked hard, like for it. I did like vocal training in the summer, and I did character work for Collins, and like listened to the entire Rent soundtrack on nonstop for a month. But by the end of it, I felt like I deserved it, and I belonged there. And everybody encouraged me. Like I felt so protected by everybody, and that I was meant to be there. So yeah, it was amazing. It was such a fun time. And yeah, it was really, really great.
Yeah, and you were so good.
Thank you. Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
like, and I think that's why I love working with you and just being your friend. Like, you're someone who, you don't half-ass anything. Sorry, can I curse?
I kept myself but maybe we can.
Maybe we can. I don't know. It's
our show.
It's
now.
our, yeah. So,
Whatever.
yeah.
It's fine.
So I guess, yeah, you don't half-ass anything.
Right.
And you just, I learned so much from just watching you because you say, fuck it, we ball, you know?
Yeah,
And you just
yeah.
put yourself into everything, and I think that's so admirable.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know. I feel like maybe it'll segue into my question I'll ask you. Because I feel like, yeah, as an actor, I don't know, I have such a tendency to kind of like, if I commit to a project and I say I'll do what I do, and I put my all into it 100%. I try my best, and I know that's what I gave, and then that's the end of it. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's worth it to approach every project like it's the most important thing, because at that current moment it is.
Yeah.
So I give every character and every production the respect that it deserves, because there's a story there that deserves to be told, and I've been chosen to be the right person for that job, and now it's my responsibility to do that. Oh, I was gonna, I guess, ask what type of actor you are, because I was gonna say that the first thing that I think of when I think of myself is intense. I think I'm very intense.
I would also say intense.
Yeah,
I
like
think
said,
I
my
am.
whole point, like when I get into something, I'm like,
No, but like,
especially I think the dramatic stuff and comedic stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
not
that's how I
to
would
yeah,
describe myself.
not to steal your answer, but I'm the same way. I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
fair
I
enough.
say,
Fair enough.
I'd say I'm also obsessive. I tend to hyperfixate on projects when I do them because I just want to do a good job, because it's like you said, like I'm the person they picked for this, and it's like I want to do, like, it is telling a story, and I think that there's, like, even if it's a fictional person, you're still giving life to someone's words.
Yeah.
And in case this was my own, which was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I wanted to make sure I got it right,
Yeah.
because I think, like, with Niña Linda, like, I'm aware this story means so much to everyone involved, but also to people who will be seeing it. So I think I did become kind of obsessive with Carolina a little bit. I was a little too in there.
Yeah. No. I think you were extremely dedicated. Something I love, even like watching some of the drafts and stuff back. Like you have such a handle on who she was as a person. And it's so evident watching. Like you have such a subtle nuance in everything you do. Even like when there are scenes where like Carter's the one yapping and you say nothing, but there's everything going on like in her mind, and you can see it, and it's beautiful. And so yeah, I think you have such a just powerful approach of tackling a character where, like, again, it's the idea of, like, you give your all to this person because they are a person,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So why not do any less than that?
Right.
And I think that's amazing. But yeah, I guess intense is also, I guess that works both ways.
Yeah.
In a way.
This is why we work well together.
Right, there you go, exactly. Now we're here having this great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know. How do they end actors on actors?
Thank you for coming here today.
I appreciate you.